Madison is on the move. This past year, our city came alive with progress, innovation, and renewed energy as we continued to elevate Madison's quality of life and enhance the experience for residents and visitors alike. As you enter Madison through our gateways, you know you've arrived in a city that is alive with opportunity. From the moment you step into our community, you feel the energy of a city investing in itself. In 2024, Madison earned 3 prestigious recognitions: the #1 small town in the Midwest by USA Today's 10 Best Readers, the 2024 Great American Main Street Award, and the Indiana Chamber's 2024 Community of the Year. These honors highlight Madison's growing identity as a regional destination achieved through targeted investment and strategic planning. They highlight the success of our Destination Madison plan, a vision that is transforming our city into a vibrant hub of culture, arts, and community. We also proudly secured the trademark for Indiana's Music City, further strengthening our identity as a city where creativity and connection grows. Landmarks came back to life, breathing new energy and pride into our community. The grand reopening of Crystal Beach Aquatic Park wasn't just about restoring a facility, it was about creating a place where families could come together to make memories and where our city's heritage as a riverside destination thrives. This iconic landmark, lovingly restored, now stands as a vibrant testament to Madison's commitment to preserving its past while investing in its future. Just a few blocks away, the Ohio Theater marquee shined brightly once again, lighting up our downtown for the first time in over 25 years. This wasn't just about turning on the lights, it was about reigniting a beacon of community pride and entertainment. These revitalized landmarks celebrate Madison's rich heritage and stand as a testament to its forward momentum, a city rooted in tradition and thriving with new opportunities. We celebrated 6 ribbon-cutting ceremonies in 2024, including the long-awaited opening of a downtown grocery store, bringing convenience and connection to the heart of our community. With a focus on keeping Madison clean, safe, and beautiful, we've invested in every corner of our city. Through 31 PACE grant projects, $4.4 million was invested in private improvements. We abated 75% of 348 nuisance cases and completed public projects totaling $26.3 million. We introduced forward-thinking programs like JCAP to support mental health and reduce recidivism, and we've implemented strategies for stormwater management and flood mitigation to protect our neighborhoods. Madison is a place where people feel safe, supported, and proud to call home. Together, we've made Madison a city that shines. These achievements are a testament to the hard work and spirit of our community. They remind us that when we invest in Madison, we invest in a future filled with opportunity and promise. Madison is more than just a place. It's a community where we come together to build, grow, and thrive. Thank you for making it all possible.
I'd like to thank all of you for coming tonight, for taking time out of your Thursday evening and joining us here tonight just for a recap of some of the things that have gone on in Madison in the last year or so. I want to first introduce a very special group with us tonight to help us lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and that is the Mayor's Eagles from Lydia Middleton Elementary School.
Place your hand over your heart and pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
want to take a second and just introduce some special people here tonight. First of all, I want to start with city employees. If you work for the city of Madison, would you please stand? Thank you for what you do all day, every day. It is a pleasure to work with each and every one of you. If you are a volunteer member of any board that represents the city, I'd also like you to stand. Thank you for your time and commitment. I want to recognize just a few representatives here this evening that I think is important, because folks like this have a lot of events to attend, and the fact that they're willing to come spend some time with us means a lot. From Congressman Aaron Houchin's District Director Amanda Lowry. Here from Governor Braun's office, the Director of Intergovernmental Affairs, Mark Dowd. Secretary of State's Regional Outreach Facilitator, Grace Seller. I'm not sure if I've seen him, but our state representative, Alex Zimmerman, if he's not here tonight, there he is. Hi, Alex. Also, for city and county level, we have County Commissioners Bobby Little and Dave Bramer here. County Council, Gary Copeland, Heather Foy, Pam Crozier, Dwayne May. Our county surveyor is here, Mike Pittman. Our clerk treasurer, Shirley Rainierson. And our board of public works and safety, Dave Carlo and Carl Eaglin. And from city council, I've seen Josh Schaefer, Josh Wilbur, and Jim Bartlett. I also want to mention that Mayor Clint Lamb is here. He is representing AIM as a mayor's advocate for AIM. So thank you for that. And then also just want to take a second and talk about our community partners. So the Jefferson County representative of One Southern Indiana Regional Development Authority, Kevin Kellums, I'm not sure if Kevin's here. President of Bethany Legacy Foundation, Dora Annam, and the Visit Madison Director, Andrew Forrester, and I know Andrew's here. Thank you so much for all of your time and attendance, for everything that you do. And now I'm going to do one more introduction, and this is Miss Caroline Demery with a special introduction.
Please help me welcome two leaders who are making a difference in our community. First, Trevor Crafton. Trevor graduated from Southwestern High School and earned his master's degree from Indiana University. After working in Florida selling real estate, he returned to Madison for a visit and met his future wife, Sarah. He moved back in 2007, married Sarah in 2008, and together they have 2 children. Today, Trevor owns a local business with his brothers called Crafton Brothers Properties. They buy old, rundown homes and fix them up to make them beautiful again. And now, Mayor Bob Courtney. Mayor Bob and his wife, Tammy, both grew up in Madison and care deeply about our community. Mayor Bob spent his career in banking and finance and began applying his energies for a better Madison in 2019. He is currently serving his 2nd term as mayor and is committed to improving the quality for life for everyone in Madison. From playgrounds to parks, from swimming pools to sidewalks, and from roads, as a proud 4th grader, I can tell that Madison is definitely on the move. Please welcome Trevor Crafton and Mayor Bob Courtney.
Testing, testing.
They'll be under.
Too loud? Thanks everybody for being here.
Under, like, let's see.
Hope it don't fall off. Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me the opportunity to sit up here and have a little coffee Q&A, informal kind of setting. Instead of you talking to the community, you and I can have some questions, some good answers, and hopefully we learn something tonight when we go home.
I'm a little nervous, I'll tell you, because we're very unscripted tonight. Unlike, I think this is my 5th State of the City, standing behind the podium, spending a lot of time on writing a long speech that probably put half of you to sleep by the time I got 5 minutes in, and I still had 30 or 40 minutes to go. So we wanted to have a conversation with you about Madison and about Jefferson County, about our region, about our state, and all the exciting things that we have going on. And Trevor's been a friend of mine and an advisor for a long time, so I couldn't have thought of anybody better to do this, so you better make me look good.
I will, I promise. Thank you all for taking your time to come out here tonight. And like I said, I hope we can leave here this evening and have learned something. So about this beautiful community that we all reside. To kind of, we might as well dive in. I mean, we're not getting any younger. So, let's just get to it. We want to be able to ask you some questions, and I think the primary initial question I want to ask right out of the gate, Mayor, as I walk around, I hear different pockets of people talking tonight. A question that's really all on our mind, and you're the mayor, like you have insight, you have connections. We all want to know who's going to be the next men's basketball coach for the Indiana Hoosiers.
So a tough one right there. Coach Signetti, is he a candidate?
Yeah, he should be.
I mean, why not, right? I mean, why not take a winning coach and make him even more winning for the Hoosiers?
Well, I appreciate the softball question there, but let's get down to the meat and potatoes. The city of Madison, you all use the phrase, your administration used the phrase Madison on the move. Explain to us, what does that truly mean for the residents, and how can the community see this progress in action?
Well, look around the room, and I think that's a great beginning as to what is Madison on the move. It is the collective energy that's here from all sectors: industry, business, housing, education, healthcare, tourism, other government at the local level, state level, federal level. That's what Madison on the Move is. It's getting us all behind this idea that Madison is a special place. It's worth investing in. And when we believe it, others do too. And we have proven that out over and over again over the last 5 years, that we have a vision, and if you believe it, other people will also join you into that. And I want to also mention 2 other people, because we were talking about education. Dr. Lambert is here from Hanover College.
Yes.
Dr. Brown, Superintendent of Madison Consolidated School System. Kurt Gardner, I don't know if he was here from Shaw or not. And I know that we have representatives from Southwestern. We have everybody here. And what I love about it is we're all working together for a better Madison and a better community.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. This next question is dear to me. It has to do with blight elimination. It has to do with those efforts. It has to do with neglect of abandoned buildings. The reason that's dear to me is because that is my business. We like to take dilapidated homes and try to bring them back to life. Put a good family in there. You've been instrumental in that, and that's where you and I have connected through the PACE program and just having conversations about that. So, what progress, Mayor, has been done on blight elimination efforts, and what are you going to do to tackle those abandoned, neglected buildings?
We've done a lot, but it's very sequential. And I share your passion for housing and real estate, and particularly, Madison's most beautiful historic district. And it's something we have to protect. But at the heart of it all, it's something we have to invest in. If you're not constantly investing and improving, then you're moving backwards. And that is essentially what has gotten us into a situation where we had a lot of dilapidated structures across our community. People were not investing. What we've been successful in doing, and we're going to continue to do this, and I'll say I'm a tireless advocate for housing and historic preservation, we will continue to lead first. When the city of Madison started investing in the neighborhoods, when we said our neighborhoods were important, our neighborhoods were the fabric of a vibrant city, people came along for the ride. When they saw that it was important by the city, and we started doing targeted revitalization because there was areas of our community that were suffering from disinvestment. You can drive around town and see where money is going, but is the money going where you need it to go? And so we were very targeted in our approach. My wife Tammy and I have been investing our life savings over and over again for the last 20 years in Madison, and we believe in this community. And if you drive around any part of our community, in our neighborhoods, you'll see that new investment is cultivating an additional investment. And over the course of just last year alone in the PACE program was about $4.5 million of new investment in preservation. You look at over the last 5 years, and it's tens of millions of dollars. Majority of that is private investment. And we work very hard in leveraging our capital. So, bringing in our money, in many instances brings in 10 times that amount of private investment, and I think that's the real, that's the alchemy in the deal.
Well, I can't thank you enough. Just from the mere PACE program, taking a dilapidated structure, you can't see behind it, and you're trying to preserve it, right? And that extra monies that's available really helps with that factor that you can't really take into consideration. And my brother and I are both very grateful for that, especially with the rising cost of materials and labor and finding good help and those types of things. That extra little capital really helps out.
You're welcome. When your city's a partner, and I can talk about blight elimination, historic preservation, and housing all day long, but when your city is your partner, some great things happen. Trevor is not telling you, but probably about 4 or 5 years ago, we sat down at the coffee shop and had this very similar conversation about how can we really elevate the revitalization that we want to see in our community. And it was through the PACE program, but also incentivizing more private investment. And we also said, how can we bring back Walnut Street? How can we bring back 3rd Street, 1st Street, Vaughn Drive, Pinehurst, Wells Drive, other areas of our community too? And it was one by one, investor by investor, and making Madison an attractive place to invest in our neighborhoods.
That's a great point. I have a privilege of speaking with Andrew Forrester on a routine basis, and he was talking about in the year 2023, the economic impact for tourism in this area was like $64 million. When you think about that, and I would like for you to provide an update on the city riverfront projects and their expected impact on that economic impact and tourism.
Yeah, the data that you're referring to that Andrew had mentioned, that's all. A lot of that data is lagging. 2024 is going to be a better year, but it is a major impact to our local economy when you're promoting tourism. And keep in mind too that the things that we do to promote tourism provides things for us to do 365 days of the year. So when we're talking about the Clean, Safe, Beautiful initiative, we're talking about bringing in more restaurant choices, things to do, activities. That's things that we get to enjoy all year long. But I hope everybody here will agree, we have the best riverfront in southeastern Indiana, and it's $1 billion riverfront. I know we have 2 members of our Riverfront Development Committee here today, John Brunch and Jim Pruitt. Please stand up and let them say hello to you too. Because the theme, these are guys that are investing time and money and resources, and all through volunteers, but over the course of the last 30 years or so, there's been over $30 million privately raised by the Riverfront Development Committee to improve our riverfront. That's why we have such a beautiful riverwalk there. Now, where's the city step in here? Our job is also to improve the public spaces. That's why you saw us bring back Crystal Beach Aquatic Park. Too important to let that pool that was built in 1938 die, right? It's too important to our historic district, too important to the quality of life of Madison, too important to the riverfront. And then if you go all the way from end to end, you've got parks, dog parks, water parks, baseball parks, The Ohio River Legacy, we're about to kick off construction on Damon Welch Park in honor of Mayor Welch, partnership with the Fairfield here on upgrades to the park next door. Housing development here in 2025 and 2026, you're going to see probably easily another $50 million invested on our riverfront, and it's just going to make the community and our beautiful riverfront just so great. It's already great, but we're just now really untapping its potential.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, we all can agree that historic downtown Madison is our crown jewel, right?
And I'll just mention too is that look at the gateway, and that really is the connector on the east end.
It is.
And then on the west end, once you get past the pool and on down toward Heritage Trail, the new trail project we're working on in collaboration with Hanover College.
Absolutely.
You're going to be able to just have so much outdoor recreational opportunities. That's why we choose to be Madisonians.
And connectivity. You know, in talking about that, you know, we certainly don't want to neglect our hilltop, right? So please share with us your ideas, where we were, where we are, where we're going with the investment in our hilltop.
Wow. You know, actually the investment in the hilltop from a dollar perspective far exceeds what we've done downtown. Downtown, you see it more visually because, you know, you're seeing the shops, you're seeing the lights, you're seeing the wonderful Main Street, you're seeing the riverfront, you know, you see all the character of Madison come out in a really short area, or small footprint. But on the hilltop, we had some major issues. How do you take the character and charm and the brand of historic Madison and start, as well as the energy and organization, and start doing that on the hilltop too? So you have to pick your spots. And one of those areas that we were absolutely committed in finding solutions to was Sunrise Crossing. And I hope everybody here agrees that, we took a dilapidated area that had sat in that condition for over 20 years and now have turned it into a mixed use. Over $50 million of private investment is going to be there. It now has the character and charm of being a node like downtown with beautiful, you know, decorations. And you continue that on through sidewalks on Clifty Drive, investments in our industry, housing initiatives up there. We're going to break ground in less than a month on Madison's first multifamily housing development in over 30 years. So the investment on the hilltop has been outstanding.
Absolutely.
And more to come.
Well, I don't think anybody can deny that you are putting in a lot of time, effort, money, and energy, and things are changing for the better. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
It's a juggling act conversation, right? It has been for years. You know, how, Mayor, do you balance, you know, the redevelopment and modernization while preserving Madison's historic character? It's that old versus new, right?
How do we balance that? A lot of community engagement, public input, realizing that our brand, our charm is our historic district. It's our wonderful Main Street. It's about investing in Madison first. You know, it's about not neglecting things anymore. It's about having a plan and a strategy. We can do everything when you have the right data to make the right decisions. You put the right people together on a team. You put together a plan, and then you go out and you find the money. And it is always going to come down to co-investment.
Right.
But we do it in ways that elevate what we have, not harm it. Now, does that mean that you can't change? I'll tell you, we have been changing. Madison is not the same community as it was 30 years ago or even 10 years ago. 10 years from now, it's going to be different, but it's going to be better. It's going to be even more beautiful. And what we're focusing on is making sure that our community is safer, more prosperous, and the quality of life for everybody here and all of our kids and our Mayor's Eagles that were here, that they get to enjoy where they live. And this is our home. And this is the one place that we should be making the greatest investments. And, I'm carrying the baton for a little bit, to use a old track euphemism, but I'm carrying the baton, and I have a phenomenal team. We have, as we talked about earlier, we have Madison on the move. We have so much kinetic energy happening it's amazing to see how we're moving in the same direction. And that takes a lot of attachment to your community. When you have attachment to your community, everything is possible. And that's why Madison's not a sleepy little town anymore.
Yeah.
And we are a regional destination. This is why, and I'm so grateful we have so many people from across the state here today, because they also recognize Madison matters. And if we talk about or leave here tonight with one idea or one real initiative, and that is, let's meet the moment. You know, the moment is right now. We're going to be meeting it and investing in it, and I'm so optimistic about our future. But let's meet the moment.
Let's transition. Let's do a little, something a little different here. Give us a chance to kind of situate and have a drink of water. If we could have the lovely Kim Nyberg please stand up.
Hi, Kim.
Kim Nyberg is going to share with us a fun fact about Madison that we may not know.
Can you hear me, or do I need a microphone? I hear you. Okay. Everybody.
Kim, everybody's staring at you.
So I'm not going to go off script, I promise. But Trevor did ask me two things. He asked me to give a tidbit. He asked me to give a tidbit about Madison, but I sort of changed it. So I hope he doesn't get mad at me. I was at, and so I said, Trevor asked me to share something I love about this city. Oh my goodness, you guys know me. You know how much I love this town, and where do we start? So the positive can-do attitude of Madison and its citizens has always surprised me. Just look around. From a sign that hangs above the volunteer firehouse on Main Street that says, help one another, to a very bold mural on Mulberry Street with 3-foot letters saying kindness. Mayor, Madison may be a city on the move, but I think we're a city with a message. And our message is to be kind and to be good to one another and be positive, and you bring that to us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim. We just want to switch things up a little bit. Let's get back on track here. Kim, thank you again for that. That was beautiful. We love to talk about the city's financial health, right? So can you provide us an update on the city's financial health and any major budget priorities for the upcoming year?
The city is in great shape financially. At any given point in time, we have between $50 and $20 million of liquidity that helps us meet our obligations. Now, I will tell you, about every penny of that is spoken for, right? We know exactly where it's going because of the way we are regulated and governed by the Department of Local Government Finance, and also working with our wonderful clerk treasurer and our wonderful city council and our community. Every year we go through a very public budgeting process that establishes where we intend to expend our money for the coming year. And there are parameters established by the state on how much we can grow. And I think a lot of people think that all of our budget is funded by property taxes. And it's not. We work really, really hard to keep our property taxes low, affordable, and flat. Our strategy coming in was about making investments that expanded our tax base, investments that brought in new capital that improved the values of the properties. We talked a lot about blight and dilapidated, but think about what a structure that sat empty for 20 years, and then now, you and Van come in and make investments. Now it's worth $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. You do that over and over and over again, and that's creating tax revenue for us. So organically, we were growing the base. There's also limitations on debt. We don't print money. We can't go out and borrow unlimited amounts of money. There are statutory limitations on that. So there's all these checks and balances along the way. But only around 60% of our annual operating budget is covered through property taxes. There's other forms, there's fees, income taxes, where everybody supports the local community. But a lot of what we're doing is about leveraging our investment. Some of the programs that we utilize, for example, where we put city dollars into a project, we get 10 times that back. That's the multiplier effect on our community. We're not talking about $5 or $10 million. We're talking about $200-300 million of new capital that has come into Madison in the last several years that is growing our tax base, creating more revenue for us that allows us to invest in making sure that the services we offer are exceptional. We also spend a lot of time trying to find better ways to do things. We had a major initiative recently on solid waste. So some of the fees that the city charges for services, we went 20 or 30 years in many instances where many of those fees weren't adjusted. They didn't keep up with cost of inflation. They didn't support reinvestment in equipment. But we did a solid waste initiative that I'm really proud of, and we took essentially an insolvent operation, turned it into one that can now invest in equipment. It was around $2.5 million initiative. But over the course of about 40 years, the city had only raised its trash rates nominally 3 times, just barely. One of those raises was like 25 cents. It wasn't enough to keep up with anything. But what I'm really most proud about that is now we can safely provide that service. If you look at the statistics about what our small community does, we provide about 1 billion gallons of water to our community a year. Billion. Last year, we were talking about solid waste. Those 11 men and women in our transfer operation, I did say 11, right, cover the entire city. And last year, they processed over 13,000 tons of trash, recyclables, compost, leaves. And before we went to our new process, 7,000 tons of that was manually lifted and processed by these men. So that's why our workers at the city, we operate so lean from a manpower perspective, but they do so much. They do twice the work, in my opinion, of the average person they need to, because we're efficiently run.
Wow. Talking about strategy, and in your previous career, you strategized all the time, and I know you run your administration through various checks and balances, and what strategies are in place to ensure fiscal responsibility while still, Mayor, investing into those key projects?
Well, good question. I mentioned oversight earlier, the way our budget gets crafted. No pun intended at all, crafted. Our budget gets crafted. We got crafted. But no, there's a lot of involvement in that. It's a very public process. But we also do a lot of capital planning. We do a lot of needs assessment. And it is the plan, and then we've got to figure out ways to make it happen and operate. But I gave you an example of solid waste. How do we take something and make it better and more efficient? But we also use debt very carefully. The city had been, I would say, debt averse previously. My background is in investment banking. Over my career before I retired, I was involved in over $5 billion of investments and probably another $5 billion of lending nationwide. So my background is in the data gathering and the analysis, the analytics that's behind making decisions. And that's what we carefully construct is, what are our priorities and how do we make them happen? We don't have a magic wand. So just to be clear, when I came into office, no one handed me a magic wand, and no one definitely didn't hand me a blank check. But we have literally leveraged up the city's dollars really, really well. But relative to debt, we do that very, very carefully. Most of the debt the city uses is called revenue bonds. Those fund our major infrastructure investments in like water and sewer that are fee driven. We also have a TIF district where we're taking property tax revenue that we're collecting, and then we're redeveloping through a strategy, through a comprehensive plan that the community's been involved in. We're reinvesting that to bring in more capital attraction to change our community for the better. So there's lots of things in place to make sure that we never get over our skis. We had a hiccup last year, you might have heard. We have our great Parks Department is here tonight. They're doing a phenomenal job. But we a little overspent our budget in parks. It went toward some things that were important. But we're nimble enough. We're able to redirect and now our Parks Department is going to be better than ever. So, there are going to be times where we have tough conversations. There are some headwinds against us going forward. There's a lot of talk about property tax reform. We need to do it strategically to make sure that all of our communities continue to thrive, and that's why our relationships in the governor's office with our state legislature, Governor Braun's office is represented here, Representative Zimmerman is here, our federal Senator Young's office is here, and others. But we're going to continue to work those relationships and make sure that they understand what Madison's needs are.
Talking about infrastructure, taking a look at the infrastructure here in Madison, some of those things we just take for granted, right? What long-term infrastructure projects are in the pipeline? And honestly, Mayor, how do you plan to fund those?
I wake up and spend a lot of time at night thinking about this. But I'm not sure many people know that if you took, and this is Madison, right? So I think we live bigger than we are, right? And that was a compliment. I ran into some visitors in a restaurant, and it was at Mad Love on one of those Wednesday nights. Jeff and Kim and Pat, that Tammy and I are down there, and we were talking to a couple who was there, and he said, we were talking about Madison. He said, Madison, it's bigger than it is. You all live bigger, and we dream bigger. And we invest bigger because we are a bigger community. When you think of the millions of people that are coming through Madison, through those 3 highways, we are the gateway to Indiana. Madison was the gateway to Indiana when Indiana was still a territory. So we take that role very seriously. We know when you cross that bridge, you've entered someplace special. But if you put our sidewalks and our streets end to end, I could probably go to Mayor Lamb's house. I know I could definitely get up to the Capitol building in Indianapolis. Just those 2 things it's a lot of infrastructure. We have thousands of linear feet of underground water mains and sewer mains. I mentioned the 1 billion gallons of water that we produce for about 70% of Madison and Jefferson County. Big infrastructure needs. We're just wrapping up a $13 million clean water improvement project, long overdue. Most of that, when we're talking about investment on the hilltop, probably 90% of that was hilltop in about 4 or 5 subdivisions on the hilltop. But it's critical that we're making those investments because, and I know public safety is one of the things we're going to talk about, you can have a water project be a public safety initiative. But I'm really thrilled about another major project that has been about a decade in the making. It's going to take another 5 or 7 years to complete, and that is our Main Street, the great American Main Street, right? In 2014, Mayor Welch entered into an agreement with the state to take over about 4.5 miles of former State Highway 56. That's great because now we have local control over the road that goes through our historic district. Phenomenal there. But it was also going to be about a $30 million capital investment. You can't bite off that level of investment all at once. So for the last 5 years, we've been gradually getting through the planning, the temporary remediation, the surveying. We had a steering committee. What do we want our Main Street to look like? And so I'm proud to announce that in 2025, we're finally starting the reconstruction of Main Street. So while I'm proud to say we're starting that, and we're going to be making the biggest investments in Main Street probably since Main Street was built. And over the next 3 years, we'll do about $20 million of that $30 million reconstruction. We're doing it with community crossing grants. So thank you, Governor Braun's office for that. And our state legislature has been a phenomenal program. We are doing it with local match money that we've saved up to apply toward that. We've also gotten we've got federal highway grants from 4 or 5 years ago that will come into play in 26 and 27 to get us about 75% of the way there. But our infrastructure needs are enormous. They're extremely expensive, but they are very important. So while I'm very proud that we're kicking off Main Street, I want to apologize in advance because I did say we're going to be under construction in the next 3 years. Just like Clifty Drive is under construction, the new housing development is under construction. There's so much going on. We'll have so much construction on our riverfront. But believe me, friends, it's going to be well worth it.
A lot of moving parts. A lot of moving parts. You know, another topic that needs to be discussed is affordable housing. You know, you take a look at your administration and how is the city, Mayor, working to expand affordable housing options for our residents here in Madison?
That is the most important thing that we're focusing on for the next 3 years. You may not believe it or not, but we've had a level of dormancy that blows my mind. We haven't had new housing built in any meaningful way in over 3 decades. And I think here's part of the problem. A lot of communities are good at looking in the rearview mirror. They use the past as a predictor for the future. And if you say, well, there's never been any demand, or if there was a demand, we would have built the housing. So we're never gonna make that leap. I'm not afraid to make the leap and invest in Madison. And I'll tell you what is that we have several partners who are already teed up to make a huge gamble, I'm not even gonna call it a gamble, a huge investment in Madison because of what we've done to create the destination that we are. Things that we already know. So we have to be investing in housing because we need it for workforce, we need it for healthcare, we need it for education, we need it for tourism, we need it to grow our tax base. So housing is a main pillar for us over the course of the next 3 years. But I'll tell you, we've already got 3 things ready. We have a downtown housing development. We have the apartments at Sunrise Crossing that is already, they're already doing site development up there. And then we're also going to be announcing Madison's first subdivision in 30 or 40 years soon. So the plans are in place. The capital, the tens of millions of dollars it's going to require, those partnerships are there. And that we'll be working with the state and you know, there's things that we can do for creative financing to make sure that this happens. When people come to Madison, they want to move here. We want our people to stay here. That's the key thing too. Get attached and stay here. Have a place for our workers and our kids to come back to.
Those are all exciting things. Thank you. I think we can all agree. You know, water is very destructive, and we all certainly remember the flooding there on Walnut and the creek around that area. And you know, you take a look at that, and you know, what steps, Mayor, are you taking to improve stormwater drainage and mitigate flooding in those vulnerable areas on the hilltop and even down here?
Most people, when you think of flooding, it's like what we experienced over the past week. It's on Bond Drive, it's on the river. But the devastation of flooding that's affected our community has been in the interior, and it's been in the historic district, and it's been in an area that cultivated even more disinvestment because there's more older homeowners there. There's more low to moderate income homeowners there. Very vulnerable part of our community. And you think about on the hilltop, you know, there was about 80 acres of commercial development that happened over the course of the last 20 or 30 years, and all that storm water was not controlled, it wasn't detained. It just flowed, and guess where it flowed? It flowed into Crooked Creek. It joined the creek coming down off of Rikers Ridge. It took all the water coming off of Highway 421. Everything was heading intentionally south through elevation to the Ohio River so that it could drain at the Ohio River Valley. I would say that probably one of the hardest days being mayor in my term so far has been, I think it was June 18th in 2021, about 4 o'clock in the morning, knock on the door. Mayor, we've had major flooding down on Walnut Street, you need to come down here. And we were just finishing up a water rescue. We rescued 35 residents from their homes in the dark, early morning hours of Walnut Street. You know how I feel about Walnut Street. Where am I from? Walnut Street. I grew up in Walnut Street. I love that area. And what you get from this administration is and this comes back to what Kim was saying earlier, it is nothing's impossible. We turn what might be impossible into the possible. And that is with energy, ideas, investment. We immediately started working on, that watershed's been flooding for about 150 years. what have we been doing about it? We prayed a lot that it didn't rain hard. You know, and I tell you, when it rains hard, I'm down there watching the creek with our firefighters and our public safety, our police officers to see, do we need to do something? And we've gotten very close since 2021, but we've also been doing some things in the interim, cleaning the creek out. We've spent about $1 million already in that Crooked Creek initiative with stormwater detention at Sunrise Crossing to take that 80 acres of commercial property that's just been flowing into Crooked Creek and now creating a level of detention. You know, we have a 3 million gallon detention basin at Sunrise Crossing. But let me put that problem a little bit more into perspective and tell you why it's so hard to solve. On the evening of June 18th or June 17th in 2021, the equivalent amount of rain that we received that night, which is why we're 4 years into the problem-solving process, was about 59 million gallons of water fell onto that area over about a 4 or 5 hour period. That's an enormous amount of stormwater, particularly in a neighborhood and in a community that has not made the proper investment in stormwater ever. 59 million gallons of water is about 115 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So kind of put a visual attachment to that. That's what we experienced that night. And so now the question is, well, how do you solve something of that magnitude? We can. We can do it. But it's going to take some change. It's going to take some tough decisions. We immediately started working with the Army Corps of Engineers. And we collected, if there are any data geeks out there, do I have the report for you? Get one from the Army Corps of Engineers about precipitation. And but anyway, we took that data, we immediately started working, we made investments. My friends here from the Commissioner's Office and County Council, they have co-invested with the City of Madison to come up with solutions for the Crooked Creek watershed, that area, like I said, the foot of the Allenback and Walnut and NDOT. There's so many collaborations that's necessary there. And now what we've translated that into is the development of an action plan. And I have a 600-page document on my desk that we're going through, that we're going to be distilling down into, okay, what can we do in the next 3, 5, 10 years? And it's part policy. So we adopted a new stormwater management policy so that when we have new development come into town, they're doing it the right way so they're not displacing water that creates a furtherance of this problem. We're making millions of dollars of investment. And it's going to be expensive, but we're not going to give up. And we're going to have to do more detention. We're going to have to move people out of the flood zone. You know, that's a problem. That's going to be a change. And we're just going to have to continue to make the proper investment in regulation in order to solve that problem. But there is a solution there.
Thank you.
Sorry for that long-winded answer, but there's no easy, quick answer to some of these chronic problems that we have. But we're taking them on. We're not acquiescing to any of our problems. We're saying if we invest the right way, we can solve all of our problems and make our community better, more safer.
Absolutely. Let's switch things up just a little bit, like we did with Kim Nyberg. If you'd be so kind, the legendary Andrew Forrester, if he would please stand up and provide us with a fun fact about Madison.
Well, Trevor, I like to go above and beyond, and I know that's what you expect. So here's 3 fun facts about Madison.
Be quick.
One is that Madison's founder, when founding the community, John Paul, originally called this community Wakefield. That is an interesting factoid. The second factoid is that the first newspaper here was called the Western Eagle, not the Madison Courier. And the third factoid is that this Mies building, one of their first products, was a canvas insulated ice cream shipper. So I guess take all of that together, and in an alternate timeline, perhaps we would be reading in tomorrow's Western Eagle about making canvas insulated ice cream shippers here in the city of Wakefield, but instead, we are here for Madison Mayor Bob Courtney's State of the City at the Fairfield, and I am very grateful for that.
Andrew, thank you. Little fact over there.
I have a fun fact.
We'll go. It's your floor. Go
I'm
ahead.
just going to say that growing up on Walnut Street, I lived across the street from the Wakefields. And where I live now on Main Street is the Garber House, who owned and started the Madison Courier. And did you know that let me ask you this question, how many mayors in Madison's history had their sons become mayors? I think that's an interesting factoid.
3.
Anybody?
3.
Guess is 3? 2. Well, maybe you know the third one.
She would.
Mayor Vaughn, Mayor Don Vaughn, who is the 1960s, his father was mayor. And Mark Lytle, Mayor Lytle, his son, Mark Lytle, was also mayor.
That's pretty good.
And I don't know if my son will ever be mayor, but is my grandson Hudson still here? Mayor in training. Is he sleeping somewhere?
Always asleep.
Anyway,
Well, those are all fun facts.
those are fun facts, yes.
Yeah. Let's carry on with the evening. Christian Hansen, you paying attention? All right. We're talking about parks and recreation. Now, an interesting fact that when Christian told me this, I'd heard Andrew and I talk about it before, but it's fascinating. Madison has 28 plus parks. That's a lot of grass. That's a lot of mowing. And so when you take a look at that, what investments, have you made in the parks and recreation sector? And what do you plan and how do you plan on investing in those recreational opportunities in the future?
Well, I'll say we have a phenomenal parks staff that's here tonight. I might ask you guys all to stand up because when we talk about being a lean operation, Parks Department, we talk about being Madison's unique from the standpoint you said. We have over 24 parks. We have lots of open space. We also have our own campground, our own golf course. We have the aquatic center. We have the Brown Gym. We have Rucker Sports Field. We have major facilities that are promoting the tremendous quality of life that we have and want and deserve in Madison, Indiana. And we have to make those right investments. Over the last few years, we've been taking them one at a time. We talked about Crystal Beach. We had the inaugural season last year. That pool was built, and I lifeguarded that pool, managed the pool. Grew up, from Walnut Street to Crystal Beach to the Boys Club and back. That was my turf, and it was such an important part of Madison. We couldn't see it go, but it was a major investment to bring that back to life. And then, the Gaines Park, recognizing our Black history. Gaines Park on Broadway Street was so important. Creating the Ohio River Legacy Park, also extremely important. Creating gateways, elements to our community so that when you come into Madison, you've entered into someplace special. We also have to keep investing. We have to keep investing. Sunrise Golf Course, for example, gets enormous amounts of play, but it's got deferred investment. So this year, our priority, and over the next 3 years, we're going to continue tackling each of our parks. I mentioned J.C. Park here, which is now Damon Welch Park. Major investment happening there. We've already got all the planning and funding lined up for it, so we're going to kickstart that soon. Then we'll be moving up we'll have most of the downtown finished by then. Then we'll be moving up on the hilltop and putting a plan in place for Sunrise as well as Rucker. Outdoor recreation, so important to our youth development too. So important to the quality of life for our adults here. But we have to maintain that. And we're going to continue to make those investments. We also need to make a big investment in the Brown Gym. We're talking about fun facts. We use the Brown Gym so much. This is the 100th anniversary of the Brown Gym. 100. And there's 200 milestones that Little Madison, Indiana is going to be celebrating this year. That is the 75th anniversary of the Madison Cubs State Basketball Championship in 1950. If anybody's here seen the movie Hoosiers, right, Hoosiers? We did it first. Milan did it in 1954, Madison did it in 1950. We're also going to be celebrating the 75th anniversary of the Madison Regatta. So we have been, coming down to the riverfront every year for 75 years. And July 4th weekend, as a kid on Walnut Street, that's where I would be, hanging out on the riverfront before, your mom and dad didn't really know where you were, as long as you got home eventually. But we have a lot, and we're going to continue making the right investments, and we have a plan for that. We have a master parks plan. We have a phenomenal parks commission. Several of our park board members, I think, are here tonight. Jake, thank you so much for being here. But we're going to keep making those investments, and not only just repairing, but we're to the point now where we need to make millions of dollars of new investment for how those spaces are going to be utilized now and what they mean to the overall strategy, that hub and spoke strategy of what is growing Madison and Jefferson County.
Mayor, thank you. Let's move on. One of the things you talked about earlier was, and I think we take it for granted because we feel safe, is public safety. And obviously it's top dog priority of yours. What new initiatives or investments are planned to support our first responders?
Well, definitely on the front of police and fire, we continue to make investments there. Public safety and feeling safe is extremely important, and I'm proud that we live in a really safe community. We don't have, very meaningful, I would say, felony level type crime, but we do have crime. Chief Scudder, I think he's here tonight. Jeff Renierson, I think Major Munt, I saw him. A couple of our officers are here. I appreciate everybody who's here tonight because those are the guys who are working literally around the clock. Our firefighters, our volunteer firefighters, I get to sit in between two of the most experienced firefighters every other week, Carl and Dave at the Board of Public Works and Safety. But we have to make investments, big investments. We have to continue to focus on, retention as well as the recruitment. It's a tough world out there. It's not like the old days where you would get a lot of applicants who wanted to be police or firefighters. Now you really got to pull them in, and it costs more, and the equipment needs and the investments that we have to make there is really important. So we continue to invest in proper equipment, proper training, and then there's other things that go beyond that. And I know the county, one of the things that they're working on too is the ambulance service. But we have to make big investments for public safety. It goes beyond the first responders. We were talking about Crooked Creek. That's a major investment that, thank God, we didn't have anybody die in that flooding in 2021. Over the course of the history of flooding, there's been over a dozen people die. It's easy to die from flooding. Our roads, we got to make our roads safer. We talk about Main Street. Main Street's going to be Main Street because it's beautiful. We're going to enhance it, but we have to make the right investment. Getting heavy truck traffic off of Main Street was a game changer. Routing that around, that really improved the quality of life. Thank you. But then also, we have tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars invested in our roads and sidewalks. And I talked about you could put them end to end and go to Indianapolis. That's a lot of infrastructure. I'm really happy to say that through our asset management planning that we implemented, we've raised the quality of our sidewalks. We're raising and resurfacing more roads than ever. We implemented a new policy relative to excavation so that those contractors who are coming into Madison to work on our roads can't just come in, dig up the roads and leave. Now there's a process, there's a permitting process, there's a design guideline, there's a regulation overlay, but that takes staff to monitor. And then, looking at our transportation networks, having the businesses, and we have probably the busiest helicopter ambulance service in the state at our municipal airport, Madison Regional Airport now. So we're making lots of investments across the city that make it safer, that work in collaboration with our boots on the ground. Traffic calming is another big one too. We're modernizing intersections. So you'll see a lot of that type of investment this year.
Thank you. My beautiful, intelligent wife works at Hanover College, and she's a director of counseling services. And I want to just touch base on mental health, and I understand why she married me, because I'm a lifelong case study for her. She'll be able to turn that into my life. But mental health's a buzzword, right? And do you and your administration have any other plans for mental health resources in our community?
Boy, I tell you, that's a conversation that's happening every day all across our community. And it really takes the partnerships with the healthcare community. It takes partnerships like with the Community Foundation, Bethany Legacy Foundation. Investing in resources is really the key. It's important. And you also have to understand what is the health of our community. And probably about 7 or 8 years ago, a group of community leaders got together and they did a community needs assessment. And this was at least 7 to 10 years ago. The two prevalent needs back then was mental health and substance abuse disorder treatment. And the problem is, here we are a decade later still talking about those things. Those are not emerging problems. Those are worsening problems in every community across the state of Indiana. Bethany Legacy Foundation has been a phenomenal resource to promote and take their resources and really elevate Madison's investments in health. I was proud to be on Governor Holcomb's Public Health Commission a couple of years ago, and that resulted in the passage of a Senate bill, and then later hundreds of millions of dollars in new investment in public health through our county health departments. And that is putting more resources than ever before for the investment in public health, the investment in outdoor recreation. Bethany Legacy just supported the investment in a navigator. Well, a lot of the conversations we have are with lots of different groups. And the problem is we all come at it from different perspectives. We all have day jobs, and many of us are not in the healthcare field, but we know we've got to work towards solving this problem. And working collaboratively, like I said, with Bill Barnes and Doran Annam and the teams there at those two foundations has been incredible. I want to mention one other thing that's a passion of mine. I've been working on it for 5 years in partnership with Jefferson County, and that is the jail chemical addiction program. We have been working on making the right investment in the new Justice Center there. So now we had a facility, and many of the inmates that are there because of a substance use disorder or a mental health problem. And you think that the impact is only on them. It's felt community-wide. It's felt on their families, their moms, their dads, their sons, their daughters, their husbands, their wives. So you're talking about thousands of people impacted really by one or two people's addiction problems. So in the second quarter of this year, after receiving a large grant from Bethany Legacy Foundation, we had put together a plan for this chemical addiction program. And Madison and Jefferson County are launching, in partnership with Bethany Legacy Foundation, $1 million 3-year pilot program to bring those substance use and mental health services into the jail, working with them through very established evidence-based programs that then will have wraparound services when they leave there. And now we're talking about housing assistance, job training, coaching, mentoring, long-term recovery, peer recovery, and reuniting them with their families. And what a great thing that's going to be for all of our communities too. So again, coming back to investment.
Mayor, thank you for addressing the mental health, what your administration's looking at. We'll have one more question this evening. It's been a fun interaction.
Well, I could go on.
I know.
You know.
I know. My kids still have homework tonight.
I saw my wife shake her head. Yeah, I know.
So, I'd like to ask one more question, and then I'd like to say a few words, and you provide your closing remarks, and then people out here can shake hands, kiss babies, take some of those cookies, and head on home. I've been to your office a number of times, and you have a big dry erase board, and that dry erase board has so many initiatives that you're focused on, so many different priorities, and I know you erase one and you add 5. It's a living, breathing organism that's just constant, right? So my final question would be, if you could narrow it down to 3, right? What are your top 3 priorities for the coming year, and how can we, as a community, how can we help you in that?
Good question. So I would say kicking off the Main Street reconstruction is a top infrastructure priority for us, and I detailed that a little bit. We also have a great website that's got all of our projects on it, Hilltop and downtown, and it's you can go. There's a project page, and you can see exactly what we're doing. So Main Street, getting that really started, and we're going to be announcing probably the largest single investment in Main Street and the largest CCMG funding that the city's ever had in just a couple weeks. Mindy, soon we'll be making a big announcement on it, but it'll kickstart it. We mentioned housing. That is another major investment that we have to have. And I firmly believe over the course of the next 3 to 5 years, we will be making about $100 million of investment in new housing. The thing about our housing that's unique, if you wanted to move, where would you go? You can't move up. We haven't built anything in 30 years. People can't move in because you're not moving out. We have a lot of 2-member households living in 4 or 5 bedroom houses. There's no place for them to go. We're going to unleash Madison's housing market. And we're doing that not by looking in the rearview mirror, but doing a lot of predictive analysis about what are our trends. We believe people will want to move here, and our data, being very data informed, is important. Says that we have hundreds of people that want to move here. We have thousands of people that commute to Madison every day to go to work. What would happen if instead of those people driving from Charlestown or over in Florence, for example, if they could just live here? I mean, to be part of our community, that's also going to grow our community. That's the second big thing. The third big thing, we're going to continue to implement Destination Madison. If you haven't seen our Destination Madison plan, we launched it in 2021, and we are on a roll. We have been implementing it like clockwork. Now, it's been dependent upon the right funding. The Ready Grant program through IEDC and Governor Holcomb and now Governor Braun's initiative has been really good for the city of Madison because it's allowed us to leverage our investment. We had about $3 million grant from the first round, and we turned that into about $100 million of new investment. Madison and Jefferson County just recently got around $10 million to be used in the city and in the county. And Hilton College has been very successful as well in utilizing grant funds. We're creating new schools, new housing, new park investments. All that means greater quality of life for us. So those are the 3 big things. It's multifaceted. So when you think about clean, safe, and beautiful being a 3-word mission statement, there's a lot of initiatives, a lot of energy, and we're all behind it because we all believe in Madison. We believe it's the best place on earth.
Thank you so much for this evening. If we all could give Mayor Bob Courtney a round of applause.
Well, thank you very much. We changed the format up, and I was telling Trevor, I thought about how do we make this more informative. We want to have a conversation with you, and there was only one person that I thought could do this, and that's that's the Tony Robbins here of Jefferson County, who's none other than Trevor Crafton, an investor, loves everything Madison. He tells me he dunked the ball in high school. I believe him. Sarah, do you know if that's true? Mr. Crafton, was that true? But thank you guys so much. And everybody, you had a choice of where you were going to be at tonight. Many of you are several hours from home. I'm grateful and honored to be here. My beautiful family's here with me. Couldn't do this job without their support. And the best is yet to come, friends.
Thank you all.